You think you can chop the capital market? That's not
Distinguished colleagues, we have correspondence from Mr. President. Submission of supplementary statutory appropriation to the 2023 Statutory Appropriation Act of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. Distinguished Senate President, further to a review of the approach to carrying out projects in the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, the Honourable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Administration has indicated that the extant approach may not be sufficient to deliver on the administration's renewed hope agenda. The Senate is accordingly invited to note that a number of infrastructural projects with potential to improve ease of transportation, provide gainful employment, and ensure positive impact on the FCT residents have been identified by the Honourable Minister. However, the current FCT statutory appropriation does not adequately capture the projects either in whole or in part. The foregoing in view, a supplementary appropriation to the 2023 Statutory Appropriation Act for the FCT Territory Administration has been proposed. I hereby forward the proposed supplementary appropriation to the 2023 Statutory Appropriation Act of the FCTA and trust that it will receive the expeditious consideration and passage by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please accept the distinguished colleagues, the distinguished senators, the assurances of Mr. President's highest regard. This letter is signed directly by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The proposed augmentation of the revenue for the supplementary budget for the FCT is hereby attached. So this is referred to the Committee on the Federal Capital Territory, a Senate Committee on the Federal Capital Territory, headed by distinguished Senator Bomai, and in collaboration to work in collaboration with the Federal Capital Territory Senate Committee on Area Councils and Ancillary Matters, headed by distinguished Senator Jimmy Kuta, to report back to the Senate in 1 week or maximum 1 week. Clerk. Distinguished colleagues, this is a correspondence from Mr. President, distinguished Senate President, presentation of the 2024 Appropriation Bill. May I crave the indulgence of the Senate to grant me the slot of 1100 hours on Wednesday, the 29th day of November 2023, to formally present the 2024 Appropriation Bill to a joint session of the National Assembly. While I look forward to addressing the joint session, please accept, distinguished Senate President and distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest regards. Signed, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So tomorrow, Wednesday, we will have our sitting earlier, and then we will join Mr. President by 11 a.m. Clerk. Correspondence from Mr. President. Distinguished Senate President, request for approval of the Federal Government 2022 to 2024 External Borrowing Ruling Plan. I write in reference to the above subject and to submit the attached Federal Government 2022 to 2024 External Borrowing Ruling Plan for consideration and early approval of the National Assembly to ensure prompt implementation of the projects. The Senate may wish to note that the past administration approved a 2022 to 2024 borrowing plan at the Federal Executive Council, which was held on May 15, 2023. The projects cut across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, security, and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms, amongst others. Following the removal of the fuel subsidy and its attendant impact on our economy, African Development Bank, AFDB, and the World Bank Group have indicated interest in assisting the country to mitigate the impact with the sum of United States dollars 1 billion and United States dollars 1.5 billion, respectively. In addition to the Federal Executive Council's approved 2022 to 2024 external abridged borrowing ruling plan, consequently, the required approval is in the sum of United States dollars 8,699,568,559 dollars. Let me read that again. 8,699,168,000 and then 559 United States dollars. And for the euro, looking at a total of 100 million euros. I would like to underscore the fact that the projects and programs in the borrowing plan were selected based on positive technical economic evaluations, as well as the expected contribution to the socio-economic development of the country, including employment generation, skills acquisition, support towards the emergence of more entrepreneurs, poverty reduction and food security to improve the livelihood in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. Considering the huge infrastructural deficit in the country and the enormous financial resources required to fill the gap in funding infrastructure in the face of dwindling financial resources, it has become imperative that we resort to prudent and external borrowing to bridge the financial gap, which would largely be applied to key infrastructure projects, including power, railway, health, among others. Given the nature of these facilities and the need to return the country to normalcy, it has become necessary to request the Senate to consider and approve the 2022 to 2024 external abridged borrowing ruling plan to enable the government deliver its responsibility to Nigerians through expeditious disbursement and efficient project implementation. I hereby forward the proposed 2022 to 2024 external borrowing ruling plan and trust that it will receive the usual expeditious consideration and passage by the Nigerian Senate. Distinguished senators, do accept the assurances of my highest regards. Yours sincerely, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is referred to our Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to report back to the Senate in 1 week. Distinguished colleagues, another correspondence from Mr. President. Request for confirmation of appointment of a Commissioner for Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Distinguished Senate President, in accordance with the provision of Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Ambassador Desmond Akawo, a member representing Rivers State in the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. The nominee is to fill the existing vacancy created by the demise of the immediate past commissioner representing Rivers State in the commission. While I hope that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in an expeditious manner, please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Distinguished colleagues, the nomination of Ambassador Desmond Akawo to represent Rivers State in the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on National Planning and Other Matters to report back to the Senate in 1 week. So this one is an in-house announcement. To distinguished senators, entrance into the National Assembly on Wednesday, 29th day of November 2023 for the purpose of the budget presentation. Distinguished senators are invited to note that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, will be coming to the National Assembly tomorrow, Wednesday, 29th November 2023, to present the 2024 budget estimates. In view of the above, there is going to be restriction of access into the National Assembly at the usual entry points. So distinguished senators are therefore advised to use the Presidential Villa Gate to get entrance into the National Assembly for the purpose of the budget presentation. Please accept, distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest concentration. This is signed by Chinedu Akubweze, Clerk of the Senate. Clerk of the Senate. The budget presentation is for 11 a.m., so I expect all in line with our practice, we would have been seated before 11. Any petitions? Yes, distinguished senator.
Mr. President, my name is Mohammed Ogoshionao. I represent Nasarawa South. Mr. President, sir, the Senate is in receipt of a petition through me from the Tunga community and signed by the President Tunga Development Association. This petition is in respect of a road, a federal road awarded to Mrs. Tractor Nigeria Limited that is to traverse Lafia, Obi, Awe, and Tunga. On getting to Awe, the road stopped, and this road is commissioned as if it has been completed. So the community has written a petition to the Senate to please look at it, that it needs to be completed to Tunga. So with your permission, sir, I would wish to lay the petition.
Is there any pending court case?
No, sir.
Okay, you may proceed.
Yes, sir.
The committee, the petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition to report back to the Senate in 2 weeks.
Point of order.
Yes, point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Kaka Shehu Lawan. I represent the very good people of Borno Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I come under Order 41 and 51 of the rules of this Senate. With your kind permission, I would like to go through. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. 51. The notice shall be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. Mr. President, sir, I want to move a motion on the floor of the Senate this morning in support of distinguished Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, and the entire leadership of this Senate, that we are all united and the Senate is good to go. With your kind permission and the permission of the distinguished Senate, I would like to move same. I so move, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, distinguished Senator Kaka, can you approach the chair? Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Kaka came under Order 41, which says that the matter must have been referred to. Let me read. 41 and 51, but 41 says that the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. I have won the matter when I passed, you did not whisper into my ear. And then secondly, when I got here, I realized from the tone of that is actually not urgent and definite. But however, it's, your point of order is noted. Any other leader of the Senate?
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I stand to move. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I stand to move that the Senate do resolve into an executive session to allow us to discuss some urgent matters.
But abin da ya faru. Sir. No, but
Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I will be requesting, Mr. President, for a suspension, that we stand down the motion for an executive session so that we can go into the business of the day and round up the sitting with an executive session. That would be my motion at this point.
Distinguished colleagues, the minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the motion be suspended to enable the Senate to go into the supplementary matter on the other paper. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved by the Senate leader and seconded by the minority leader that we do suspend the executive session until we conclude the items on the other paper before proceeding into the executive session. Those who are in support of that proposition say aye, and those again say nay. The ayes have it. So we proceed with the other paper, and thereafter we go into executive session. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Nwoko Ned Muniro on the Waste Management and Malaria Eradication Agency Establishment Bill 2023 SB 172. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Waste Management and Malaria Eradication Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 172, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Waste Management and Malaria Eradication Agency Establishment Bill 2023, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Baningo Ipalibo Harry on the compulsory treatment and care of victims of Gunshots Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 279. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, compulsory treatment and care of victims of Gunshots Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 279, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, compulsory treatment and care of victims of Gunshots Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 279, first reading taken. Senate Leader.
Sorry, sir. I was taking some elders' counsel from distinguished Senator Alero. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Goje Mohammed Danjuma on the Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 283. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 283, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 283, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Wamako Magatakadada Aliu on the National War College Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 284. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National War College Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 284, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National War College Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 284, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in my name on the Whistleblowers Bill 2023, SB 286. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Whistleblowers Bill 2023, SB 286, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Whistleblowers Bill 2023, SB 286, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 119. The civil senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 26 October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Karimi Sunday Steve to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Order.
distinguished Senator Karimi Steve Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, my name is Karimi Sunday. I'm privileged to represent Kogi West, and I give God the glory for this. I hereby move that a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to allow political parties to nominate and replace validly elected candidates in the event of resignation, death of serving members in National Assembly and State Assembly and for connected matters therewith, 2023. Mr. President, my colleague, have made available to the senators my thoughts about this bill, and I will not bother you reading through. I'm just going to, in a way, paraphrase the bill. Mr. President, why this bill? My colleagues, why bring this bill? Okay. I'm going to give you, just listen.
The distinguished Senator Karimi,
Yes, sir.
please confine yourself to the lead debate.
Yes, that's what I'm
And
going to
give
do.
us the merits
And
and
the-
general principles of the bill.
Yes, sir.
But if you want the senators to answer questions from you, you may choose to come by way of motion.
Okay, sir. Okay. This bill is about saving the nation from unnecessary spending. Let me first of all read part of the bill. The Electoral Act 2022, which is in this bill referred to as the Principal Act, is hereby amended and set out in this bill. Section 34 of the Electoral Act is hereby amended by inserting a new section, Section 34B, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Section 34B1, where a member of the National Assembly or any of the State Assembly have been duly elected and during his or her term in office dies or resigns from office, vacancy arises other than by disqualification by a competent court. The political parties on whose platform a contested election shall nominate one of its members to replace such member of the National Assembly or State Assembly without the Commission having to conduct another election to replace candidates or members from that constituency. Section 34B2. In nominating a candidate to replace a validly elected candidate who has resigned or died in accordance with Section 34(1), the political party shall nominate duly qualified candidate, and special consideration shall be given to the candidate who participated in the primary and post second in the primary election that resulted in the nomination of the dead or resignation of the member of National or State Assembly. Section 34(3). Notwithstanding the provision of the subsection 2 of the above, a political party may conduct a fresh primary for the purpose of nomination of fresh candidate to replace the dead or retiring candidate referred to in subsection 1 of this vacancy, death or resignation, and same shall be in consonance with section 84 of the Electoral Act and any other written law relating to the primary election for the time being in force. 3. Section 84 of the Principal Act is amended by inserting in between the existing section 84 and 85 a new section 84B, which shall read as follows. Section 84B, whenever a vacancy occurs in a legislative house due to death or resignation of a candidate who has been validly elected on the platform of a political party, the political party in whose platform the candidate contested and won the election shall nominate another of its members through a valid primary election to replace the candidate who died or resigned during his time in office as either a member of National Assembly or any of the state assemblies, provided that the candidate who posed second may be nominated to replace the resigning or dead candidate, and where a fresh primary election is to be conducted, same shall be conducted within 14 days of the death or resignation. The bill may be cited as Electoral Act Amendment B 2023. Mr. President, just like I've said from the onset, the purpose of this bill is to eliminate waste in conducting by-elections by INEC. This bill that I'm proposing is not a new thing. It's what is happening in other climes of the world. In America, where we borrowed our presidential system from, what is in place there is that when a candidate resigns or during the tenure died, you don't go through another election. If the candidate is replaced by the party or by the state Congress. The states in America have it differently. So what we are saying here, why do we need to be, even in all Supreme Court judgment, it is said that the party owns the ticket. If the party owns the ticket, then when we have such situation, the party should replace the candidate. Also, when we go into an election, you don't see the name of candidate on the ballot paper. What you see on the ballot paper is the name of the party. So why are we wasting money conducting fresh election? The money that we are wasting to conduct fresh election can be utilized in all bringing infrastructural development to our people. So some of my colleagues are saying they are thinking that if this bill is in place, they will be killing all over the country. Come on, we have to take a step beyond this. Our democracy is growing, and we need to reduce cost. That is the purpose of this bill. And I believe my colleagues will rise above sentiment and support this bill. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, have we looked at the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution? Do we have any provision that allows for nominated candidates into Senate, House of Representatives or State House of Assembly? Because there are some, when I had the privilege to go to IPU, I discovered that some of these countries we hear about actually have parliaments, but the parliaments are nominated. They are not elected. So the bill I proposed will have two sections. That you have a group of people who are nominated, and then you have a group of people who are elected. So, but let me hear from the floor. Joel, Senator Joel, if for any reason you feel you are not in support of the bill, I'll ask, so now we are for, is there anybody that wants to second this bill? Yes, Senator Joel.
Calm down, calm down. Calm down. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Joel Onoabo Thomas. I represent the good people of Delta South Electoral District. Mr. President, I'm standing here to second the motion, the bill moved by my dear brother, Senator Steve, that the Electoral Act be amended with the provisions therein stated and others as being read by my distinguished colleague. Therefore, Mr. President, I move that this bill, I second that this bill be read for a second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Distinguished Senator Kawu.
Mr. President, my dear distinguished colleagues, I am Suleiman Abdurrahman Kawu Sumaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District, Mr. President, from Kano. Mr. President, I listened to the mover of this bill, and Senator Steve Karim, our friend, our brother, we came in contact with him since 2011, over 1 decade. But when he is presenting this bill, I just thinking that what the bill tend to achieve. What are we heading to if we pass this kind of legislation in this chamber? There is a reason where we adopted presidential system of government. Quite all right, we borrowed it from somewhere, as he said. But we need to look into some issues which the presidential system of government, a constitutional representation where everybody is participating in selecting the representative to represent the interest of a community, has a reason of doing so. The reason of adopting this system which we are operating now is to have a full representation and inclusivity, where everybody will be carried away, I will be carried in decision-making process. And the system we are operating now under the current constitution, and of course our electoral laws, give a legitimacy and trust. We are here because our people believe that we will represent their interest. They have trust on us. And the system we are operating bring about democratic stability. How can we allow a party leaders to choose a representative in the constitutional representation in a heterogeneous society like Nigeria. Yes, the ticket is for the party, but the vote is for the candidate. And policy representation. We are here, all of us has a particular thinking and belief which he is here for. The system of our political parties, when you read into what political parties of Nigeria is all about, it comes under the category of mass political party, where we are only looking at quality, not quantity. There are so many types of political parties, but the political parties we are practicing now in Nigeria, most of them come under mass political party, where quality is not needed in membership drive. Mr. President, civic engagement. When you are presenting yourself as a candidate, you are interacting with your constituents, persuading them, telling them your capacity. How can some few group of people nominate a representative in a constitutional democracy? We are not in communist system. We are not in China, Russia, or other Eastern democracy where they are not respecting wish or will of the people. Mr. President, finally, we need to look into our diversity, ideas, perspective of Nigeria. Therefore, this bill, there is no need for us to even continue. We have so many things in our order paper. My dear respected colleagues, withdraw your bill for us to continue doing the most important items in our order paper. I so submit, Mr. President. Thank you.
Well, I think Senator Kawu will be the last person to speak for 6 minutes. The Senate leader raised a point of order.
Well, Mr. President, distinguished senators, my point of order is pursuant to Order 79-1, which deals with the rule of debate on second reading of bills. And it very specifically provides that the debate shall be on the merits of the bill. To begin with, the first fundamental error was the fact that even the sponsor of the bill, unfortunately, did not present us with a lead debate. All we got was a copy of the bill to which amendment is being proposed and a copy of the amendment. A lead debate that should have stated the merits of the bill itself was not present, which was an error on its own. And more importantly, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I believe our procedure here should be with respect to both constitutional amendment as well as proposed amendment to the electoral bill, because virtually every senator here has one thing or the other that colleagues believe ought to be amended with respect to the electoral bill as it is presently. So all we would have to do when it comes to constitutional amendment is that after the first reading, it be referred to the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review so that they could have a thorough consideration of the proposal. And I believe it's the same procedure we have to adopt also for electoral bill. Rather than having to do a second reading of proposed amendment to electoral bill every legislative day. We have quite a number of them. So my proposal, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is that this bill be referred to the committee that would sit down and consider the merit of not only this, but every other proposed amendment to the electoral bill. But the most important thing I wanted to urge was on the need for every sponsor of a bill to present us with a lead debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Karimi, your proposed amendment was not accompanied with the lead debate that will give us the general merits and principles of the proposed amendment. He said we have a copy of the proposed amendment instead of the lead debate. So you may wish to withdraw it or we step it down until it comes properly before us.
Mr. President, just like the leader said, that every electoral act and constitutional amendment will refer to the Committee on Constitutional Amendment. So I don't want to withdraw the bill. It can be referred to the committee. I believe in the bill. It will be referred to the committee.
Distinguished colleagues, I think if you actually go through the proposal, even though it's not we don't have the lead debate, you see there is some kind of thoughts that seems to align with some of the judgments that we have, that it is the political party that has the votes and not necessarily the individual. That is on the one hand. But on the other hand, we have more than 10 political parties at any point in time contesting an election. So if somebody unfortunately dies, and we go to the other political party to pick the person who was second in primaries, are we sure that person would have been accepted by the electorate? You understand what I mean? So, but your argument is that the vote did not belong to the person who died. It belonged to the political party. But the votes were given to the person who died by the electorate. And then, okay, so you are looking at the primaries. The primaries does not send somebody to the chambers. It is the final election. It's the final election that sends somebody to the primary. So in any case, distinguished colleagues, is it the view of the Senate that this be referred to the Committee on Electoral Matters for further consideration? Okay. Let me rephrase my question. Even on the, let me rephrase my question. Distinguished colleagues, in spite of the fact that we did not see the lead debate, but we have a general idea of what the proposed amendment is all about. Those who are in support of further steps being taken on this proposed amendment say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate, please.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, thank you, Mr. President, for a very progressive ruling. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, Safe Zamfara State Establishment Bill 2023 SB 161. Distinguished senators, will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 17th October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Bilbis Aleyu Ikra to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Ikra Aliu Bilbis.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I'm Ikra Aliu Bilbis, representing Zamfara Central, Zamfara State. Mr. President, may I move the motion for the bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Health Science and Technologies IP, Zamfara State, as a training institution for the development of medical and health science, and to make the comprehensive provision for the management and the administration of the university and for the related matters. Be read for the second time. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of the Federal University of Health Science and Technologies IP, Zamfara State, Establishment Bill 2003. The bill was read for the first time in the Hollow Chamber on Tuesday, 17th October 2003. This bill seeks to upgrade the College of Health Science and Technologies IP, Zamfara State, to the Federal University of Health Science and Technologies IP, Zamfara State. The College of Health Science and Technologies IP, formerly School of Health Science Technology, was established by the first military administrator of Zamfara State, Colonel Jibrin Bala Yakubu, and commissioned by the President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, in year 2000. In 2014, the institution was upgraded to the status of college, which provided the possibilities of collaborations, appellations, and continuing education. In 2015 to date, more than 20% of the graduates of the institution were non-indigenous of Zamfara State, who came from far and neighboring states and successfully completed their programs in different fields of health science and technology. Distinguished colleagues, in 2019, Concern Youth Awareness, an NGO, presented its award to the institution as the best college of health science and technology of the year, having excelled and top list in the most of the students' licensing examination conducted by the various health boards. It was therefore themed to be the best college of health science and technology in that year. The College of Health Science and Technologies IP has a strong manpower of academicians with high degrees. It houses certain doctorate degree holders of a different health-related matters, related fields. The college currently runs up to 23 programs in different fields of health at technicians, diploma, and high national diploma levels. It has also entered into collaborations with some degree awarding institutions in Nigeria for the utilization of vast human resources of the college academic staff. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, from the foregoing and considering the locations, terrain, environment, facilities, human resources, and present status, the College of Health Science and Technology, SAPE, has all it takes to be upgraded to the Federal University of Health Science and Technology, SAPE, for overall service and development of the Northwest region in particular and Nigeria in general.
Supported.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, when the College of Health Science and Technology is upgraded to the Federal University of Health Science and Technology, it will provide full-time courses in health science and technology and other fields of studies, produce high-quality medical professionals with broad knowledge, with the skills to strengthen the institutional capacity for disease control and surveillance, as well as bridging the gap in medical research. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, considering our population growth and in Jaffa syndrome, especially in the health sector, there is need for this upgrade. According to the Punch newspaper 2021, Nigeria lost a high number of its trained health workers last year to other countries at the benchmark speed. Between July and December 2021, Nigeria saw 805 medical doctors migrating to the United Kingdom, says the British General Medical Council. The rate translates to 134 trained doctors a month, 33 per week, or 4 daily. That is for the UK alone, where by 2021, 8,178 medical doctors of Nigerian origin were practicing. Additionally, figures by the British Northern Midwifery Council revealed that in the 5 years to March 2021, 15,049 nurses abandoned home for UK from 2016. Nigeria lost 3,009 nurses annually, or 228 per month, 57 per week, or 8 daily to the UK health system. This is pre-training. This upgrade will help to produce medical professionals to replace the ones who left for greener pasture. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill does not require financial compendium as stipulated by Order 76 and Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Senate Standing Order 2003 as amended, because it is an upgrade of an existing institution. I therefore appeal to you, my distinguished colleagues, to support this bill for the second reading. I thank you very much for your support and kind attention.
Yes, distinguished Senator Abbas, my brother.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I remain Aminu Abbas, Bendi Adamawa Central. Mr. President, this bill comes at the right time when Nigeria needs more of this kind of colleges to fill in the gap of the existing facilities in our institutions, health institutions, both tertiary and primary health institutions. Mr. President, I stand to second the motion as already moved. I know. I stand to second the motion as already moved by the single Senator Ikra Aliu Bilbis for this institution to be established at Safe Zamfara State. I so second.
Distinguished Senator Plan.
The President of the Senate, my colleagues, I am Senator Dicket Plang, Senator representing the good people of Plateau Central Senatorial District. Mr. President of the Senate, my colleagues, I rise to support this bill, desiring that a University of Health, Science and Technology should be established in the northwestern part of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, you all know that without the laboratory science, hardly can doctors and our health workers will be able to attend correctly to the ill health of our people. And therefore, the possibility of establishing more laboratory centers will help in no small measure to give an ability for our medical doctors to actually identify, diagnose, and identify the true cause of an illness. When you don't have correct laboratory reports, there's a tendency that the application of medical service given to a patient may be wrongly done. And therefore, if we can have more of our tertiary institutions specializing, deepening their knowledge in the area of laboratory sciences, I believe that the efficiency and then the ability to meet to treatment of our patients will be highly attended. And for those reasons, I sincerely support that this bill should be supported by all of us, and that this bill should pass the second reading, and that at the end of the day, we'll be able to have more health, technology, universities for more proper attention to our medical needs. I thank you.
You want me to put the question? Oh, DSP, has it reached that point where you have to? Okay, we will allow the DSP to speak, but can we hear from the civil senator Yari first?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I remain Abdulaziz Abubakar. I represent people of Zamfara West. Mr. President, I'm from Zamfara State. This bill like its own bill, because the institution is being proposed to cite it in Chape and Zamfara State Senatorial District. Mr. President, according to the sponsor of this bill and its real, in the entire 7 states in the Northwest, we don't have any institution specifically dealing with the issue of health. And that institution being proposed to be upgraded is the institution that graduated a lot of health personnel across the country. When it was established during the military administration in 1997 and upgraded in 2000 and commissioned by President Obasanjo, the institution has yielded a lot of results. So, Mr. President, with this upgrade, the institution will produce more health personnel for the betterment of our country. We know the situation of the health personnel in Nigeria and inadequate of those staff. So by having this done in the region and by extension to the country, the institution will be of help. I therefore, Mr. President, seek the indulgence of our colleagues to support this motion to scale the second reading and the final adoption to have the institution in SAP. Instead of SAP Health Technology to be upgraded to SAP University Health and Technology. I thank you, Mr. President.
Dismissed, Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, our uncommon President of the Senate. I stand in solidarity with my colleague, Senator Ikerabe Bills, on this very important bill. I support this bill in its entirety, and I commend him for bringing forward this bill. Mr. President, we are all aware of the amount of money we spend every year. Nigerians spend every year to seek medical attention overseas. Otherwise, the amount of money being spent for medical tourism, it amounts to several billions of dollars, where thousands of people are always going out. Why? In order to seek better medical attention overseas. Now, what this bill is trying to do is to set up an institution that will provide necessary manpower that will help to drive our medical sector so that the number of people that will be going out in the future to seek medical attention will be substantially reduced. And this is very, very, very important. Zamfara State itself, we know how much devastation has been brought to bear on the people of Zamfara State, where several of its facilities, so many facilities of that state have now been destroyed due to banditry and other form of insecurity. We need to extend our help, extend the spirit of brotherhood that Nigerians are known for in order to help Zamfara State to build its infrastructure, particularly medical infrastructure that have been destroyed over the years. So that's why it's very, very important that we support this, the move of this, the sponsor of this bill, so that the institution will be established. It will be established, the necessary manpower will now be trained to help the health sector of Zamfara State, and not even only Zamfara, the state of Katsina, Kano, and all the states within that area, including Suleja, right? So it's going to be a national institution, not even Akwa Ibom. It's a federal institution. It's going to be a federal institution. So I stand in solidarity with my colleague. I support this bill, and I urge all our colleagues here to support the passage of this bill. I say so, Mr. President.
Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill? Nobody. So, distinguished colleagues, if nobody is opposed to it, then those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology SAFE, Zamfara State, as a training institution for the development of medical and health sciences, and to make comprehensive provisions for the management and administration of universities and for related matters, 2023, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology SAFE, Zamfara State, as a training institution for the development of medical and health sciences, and to make comprehensive provisions for the management and administration of the university and for related matters, 2023, second reading. This bill is now referred to the Committee on Health and Third Fund. Committee of Health and Third Fund to report back to the Senate in 3 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti, Establishment Bill 2023, SB 174. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Thursday, 26th October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mohammed Dandutse Muntari, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Dandutse Muntari.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleague, I remain Dandutse Muntari Mohammed, representing Katsina South. Report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Science in Establishment Bill 2023, SB 174. I so move, Mr. President.
Yes. Distinguished Senator Abamuro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second this motion. This bill, moved by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund, that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the committee on the Federal University of Establishment of the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Studies, Isei Ekiti. I so second.
Colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move that the Senate do resolve into a committee of the whole for the consideration of this bill. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do recourse to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate will now resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider the report. Distinguished colleagues, this bill was passed in the 9th Senate. So in normal circumstances, we should really have proceeded straight into committee of the whole, since it was already passed in the 9th Senate. But to refresh the memory of those who may not have known the general principles behind this bill, before we look at the clause by clause, let me invite the distinguished Senator Danduse to at least give us a summary of the report, even though it was passed in the 9th Senate. So really, we should have gone straight into a committee of the whole. Is that opinion accepted by the Senate? Yes. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we...
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleagues, this bill is very clear and very important for the legislative framework to support the establishment of the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Science in Ekiti State. The purpose and intent of the bill is to develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to award of diplomas, degrees, and postgraduate research and higher degree with emphasis on environmental and technological skill and allied professional discipline with the aim of producing societal, matured society, person with capacity to improve on their disciplines, and also develop the University of Technology is a catalyst for national development and innovation for effective and economic utilization of the nation's economic and human resources. So the establishment of the proposed University of Technology will bring about socio-economic growth and development of the region and will encourage prospective youth to take advantage of proximity of the institution to get educated. After due consideration and recommendations, I want to move that the Senate do consider this very important bill for consideration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished senators. The reality is that, like I pointed out, this had already been passed in the 9th Senate, and so we should have gone straight into consideration of it in the committee of the whole. So since we are in the committee of the whole, I would like us to be guided by distinguished Senator Yaya, the former Senate leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like you said, Mr. President, this went through successfully at the last Senate, but unfortunately it was not brought, it was not signed by the previous administration. I just have one, correct one omission in section, clause 1, subsection 1. There is hereby established a, it's an omission. That is hereby established a Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti. So that correction, I think, should go in for our records. But apart from that, it's noted. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, please note clause 1, section 1, saying that what is said, there is hereby Federal University, but The leader has just corrected it. Huh? Is there any leader? Yes.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I stand pursuant to Order 8(3) to move for an extension of time to enable us sit beyond 2 p.m. to finish what we have on the other paper for today. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
The minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to second the motion that the Senate do sit beyond 2 o'clock to conclude items on the other paper. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do extend its sitting time beyond 2 p.m. Those who are in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. So the time is hereby extended. Okay, so let's go straight into the clause by clause consideration, which really, like I pointed out, is what we should have done in the first place, since it was already passed but not assented to by the 9th Senate. Clause 1, as amended by the Civil Senator Yaya, that it is hereby established Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti State. Senator Danu said this is for Ekiti State. Ekiti State? I thought it was for Katsina. Certainly it's for Ekiti State. So it's for Ekiti State. So clause 1 is retained.
Yeah.
Carried. Long title on page 1. So clause 2. Clause 2 is clause 2.
Yes.
Those who are in support say aye. Is carried.
Carried.
Clause 3.
Carried.
This is a bill, don't rush it. Clauses 2 to 5.
Carried.
Clauses 6 to 10. In the affirmative. Clauses 11 to 14, retain.
Carried.
Clause 15, new insertion.
Carried.
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 Clause 16,
Carried.
carried. Clauses 17, 18,
Carried.
up to clause 20.
Carried.
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 Clauses 21 to 25.
Carried.
Carried. Clauses 26 to clause 30.
Carried.
Carried. No. Clause 31 is the short title.
Carried.
All right. Clause 31 is short title. Is it carried?
Carried.
So the short title, the schedules,
Carried.
clauses 1 to 3, carried. Explanatory memorandum on page 43, carried.
Carried.
So the long title was on page 1, that was also carried.
Carried.
Those in favor that the long title form part of the bill say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We have actually finished. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move that the Senate revert to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the President of the Senate, sitting as chair, reverse to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, having considered the proposed bill clause by clause and also the schedules and long titles, short titles, and everything in the affirmative, the motion has now been moved and seconded by the minority leader. The Hallowed Chamber will revert to plenary to report progress. Those in support of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Okay. The Senate, distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions at FedFund on the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti State, Establishment BA 2023, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clauses 1 to 29 as recommended. Interpretation clause 30 as recommended. The short title in clause 31 as recommended. The schedules clauses 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole?
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move that the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti Establishment Bill 2023 be now read the third time. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the bill on the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded by the Minority Leader that this bill be now read a third time. Those who are in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide the establishment of the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti State and for matter connected therewith 2023 third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti State and for other matters connected therewith 2023. Third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, this bill has been read for a third time and is hereby passed. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. The fourth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters on the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons as listed on the order paper for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished, okay. One, Professor Tuji Olaokpa, chairman. Two, Dr. Dauda Ibrahim Jallo, member, representing Adamawa, Gombe, Taraba. Three, Obong Ededet Eyoma, member representing Akwa Ibom, Cross River. Four, Dr. Chamberlain Nwele, member representing Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu. 5, Rufus N. Godwins, member representing Bayelsa, Delta, and Rivers. 6, Dr. Adamu Hussein, member representing FCT and Niger. 7, Aminu Nabegu, member representing Jigawa, Kano. 8, Hindatu Abdullahi, member representing Kaduna, Katsina. 9, Shehu Aliyu, member representing Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara. 10, Odekunle Rukiyat Aduke, member representing Kogi, Kwara. 11, Princess Sarah Adebisi Shoson, member representing Lagos, Ogun. 12, Dr. Festus Oyebade, member representing Oshun and Oyo states. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Thursday, 2nd November 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Oluwole Fashuyi Cyril, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Oluwole Fashuyi Cyril, You may now move your motion for the presentation and consideration of this report.
The Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Cyril Fashui, representing the good people of Ekiti State. I wish to seek the indulgence of the President and distinguished colleagues to allow Senator Barinada Mpigi, a member of Establishment and Public Service, to read the report as agreed at the committee level. Thank you.
Have you read the report?
Okay, sir.
Distinguished Senator Cyril Fashui, you may now go ahead to expatiate on your findings and recommendations. Go ahead, present the report and your findings and recommendations.
Senate President, distinguished colleagues, report of the Senate Committee on the Establishment and Public Service on the screening of the presidential nominees for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 1st November 2023, considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission, and refer same to this committee for further legislative action via Senate Resolution number NESS/10S/R/01/104, dated Wednesday, 1st day of November 2023. The names: Professor Tunji Olaopa, Chairman; Dr. Dauda Ibrahim Jallo, Member, Adamawa, Gombe, Taraba; Obong Ededet Eyoma, Member, Akwa Ibom, Cross Rivers; Dr. Chamberlain Nwele, Member, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu; Rufus N. Godwins, Member, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers; Dr. Adamu Hussein, Member, FCT, Niger; Aminun Nabegu, Member, Jigawa, Kano; Indatu Abdullahi, Member, Kaduna, Katsina; Shehu Aliyu, Member, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara; Odekunle Rukiyat Aduke, Member, Kogi, Kwara; Princess Sarah Adebisi Shoson, Member, Lagos, Ogun; and finally, Dr. Festus Oyebade, Member, Oshun, Oyo. Mr. President's request to the Senate for confirmation in this regard was made pursuant to the provision of Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, 1999, as amended. The action taken and methodology adopted. Pursuant to the Senate resolution in paragraph 1.1 above, the committee deployed and adopted the ensuing actions and methodology in discharging the assignment / mandate contained in the resolution. The committee requested and received the following documents in respect of each nominee, respectfully from the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters. 1. Curriculum vitae. 2. DSS clearance letter. 3. Police report on fingerprint search. And 4. Asset declaration form. During the screening exercise, the committee was guided by the relevant provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, and other relevant acts of the National Assembly. Let me go to the recommendation observations.
So look at the observations and findings.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm going to do. At the end of the screening, the committee deliberated extensively on each nominee's academic qualification, work experience, competence, and integrity required for the appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission, and thereafter established the following findings and made the following observations with: 1. That all the nominees possess the required legal requirements specified under the relevant provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, and other relevant extant acts of National Assembly for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. 2. That as at the time of this report, there is no adverse security report, nor any adverse petition before the committee against the nomination and appointment of any nominee for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. 3, and final, that the committee has established both in fact and in law that all the nominees have satisfied the requisite legal requirements and are hereby affirmed to be jointly and severally qualified, fit and proper distinguished Nigerians for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Recommendation. Accordingly, the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service, having thoroughly screened the nominees and satisfied with respect to their respective educational qualifications, cognate work experience, integrity, and competence, hereby recommends as follows. 1. That the Senate do confirm the nomination for appointment of the following nominees of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, namely: 1. Professor Tunji Olaopa, Chairman; Dr. Daudu Ibrahim Jallo, Member, Adamawa, Gombe, Taraba; Mr. Obong Ededet Eyoma, Member, Akwa Ibom, Cross Rivers; 4. Dr. Chamberlain Nwele, Member, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu; 5. Rufus N. Godwins, Member, Bayelsa Delta, Rivers; 6. Dr. Adamu Hussein, Member, FCT, Niger; 7. Aminu Nabego, Member, Jigawa, Kano; 8. Indatu Abdullahi, Member, Kaduna, Katsina; 9. Shehu Aliyu, Member, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara; 10. Odekunle Rukiyat Aduke, Member, Kogi, Kwara; 11. Princess Sarah Adebisi Shoson, Member, Lagos, Ogun; 12. And the final, Dr. Festus Oyebade, Member, Osun, Oyo. As chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. I so move, Mr. President. Conclusion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on behalf of myself and distinguished members of this committee, I sincerely express our profound gratitude to the leadership of the Senate for the opportunity given to us to serve the nation in these regards. Mr. President, the final attachment out of 22 members of the committee, except, okay, sir. All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished
Senator Mbigi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mpigi Barinada, I represent the people of Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, I stand here to second that the Senate to accept the report and the findings of the Committee on Establishment as duly presented by the chairman of the committee. Mr. President, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the chairman of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters has presented his report on the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for members, would-be members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. He has expatiated and he has also briefed the Senate on observations, findings, and recommendations. The motion has been seconded by very distinguished Senator Barry Mbigi. Those who are in support of the motion that this Senate do accept this report say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate leader, you may now move a motion for the Senate to resolve into a committee of the whole to consider the report.
Well, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we now resolve into a committee of the whole to consider the report. Those who are in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we resolve now into a committee of the whole. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Professor Tunji Olapo for appointment as chairman of the Federal Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Dauda Ibrahim Jallo, representing Adamawa Gombe and Taraba States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Obong Ededet Eyoma, representing Akwa Ibom and Cross River State, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Chamberlain Nwele, representing Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu states, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Rufus N. Godwins, representing Bayelsa, Delta, and Rivers State, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Adamu Hussein, representing FCT and Niger State, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Aminu Nabegu, representing Jigawa and Kano States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Hindatu Abdullahi, representing Kaduna and Katsina States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Shehu Aliu, representing KB, Sokoto, and Zamfara States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Odekunle Rukiat Aduke, representing Kogi and Kwara States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Princess Sarah Adebisi Soshan, representing Lagos and Ogun States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Festus Oyebade, representing Oshun and Oyo States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I move that the Senate do revert back to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the President sitting as chair reverts to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those who are against it say nay. The ayes have it. We hereby revert to plenary. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission and approved the nominations of Professor Tunji Olabisi, Opa as chairman, Dr. Dauda Ibrahim Jalal, member, Obong Ededet Eyoma, member, Dr. Chamberlain Uwele, member, Rufus N. Godwins, member, Dr. Adamu Hussein, member, Aminu Nabegu, member, Hindatu Abdullahi, member, Shehu Aliu, member, Odekule Rukiyat Aduke, member, Princess Sarah Adebisi Soshan, member, Dr. Festus Oyebade, member, as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Professor Tunji Olaopa as chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Professor Tunji Olaopa is hereby confirmed as chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Dauda Ibrahim Jallo, representing Adamawa, Gombe, and Taraba State, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Ibrahim Jallo, representing Adamawa, Gombe, and Taraba States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the appointment of Obong Ededet Eyoma, representing Akwa Ibom and Cross River States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Obong Ededet Eyoma is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Chamberlain Wele, representing Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Chamberlain Wele, representing Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Rufus Godwins, representing Bayelsa, Delta, and River States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Rufus Enko Godwins, representing Bayelsa, Delta, and River States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Adamu Hussein, representing FCT and Niger States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Adamu Hussein, representing FCT and Niger States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve and confirm, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Aminu Nabegu, representing Jigawa and Kano States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Aminu Nabegu, representing Jigawa and Kano States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination? Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Hindatu Abdullahi, representing Kaduna and Katsina States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Hindatu Abdullahi, representing Kaduna and Katsina States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Shehu Aliu, representing Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Shehu Aliu, representing Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve and also confirm the nomination of Odokunle Rukiat Aduke, representing Kogi and Kwara States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Odekunle Rukiat Aduke, representing Kogi and Kwara States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Princess Sarah Adebishi Suswan, representing Lagos and Ogun States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Princess Sarah Adebishi Suswan, representing Lagos and Ogun States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Festus Oyebade, representing Osun and Oyo States, for appointment as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Festus Oyebade, representing Osun and Oyo States, is hereby confirmed as member of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Let me thank once again the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters for a wonderful job of screening and recommending for approval and confirmation of the nominees of Mr. President for the chairmanship and membership of the Federal Civil Service Commission. I believe you have done a wonderful job, painstakingly. And I noted particularly in your observations in paragraph 2 that there was no single petition against any of the nominees. Hence, you recommended them to the Senate for approval and confirmation. I thank my colleagues for the patience and for a wonderful job, and wish the nominees a wonderful and patriotic service to our fatherland. Senate Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Police Affairs on the 2023 budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Abdul Hamid Malam Madori Ahmed to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Abdul Madari Ahmed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished senators, my name is Ambassador Ahmed Abdulhamid Malamadori, representing the people of Jigawa Northeast. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Police Affairs on the 2023 budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. I so move.
I'm waiting for a second time. Nobody has indicated.
Many people are raising their hand here.
Okay, I didn't look at that side. I was looking at this side. Distinguished Senator Ekong Samson.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ekong Samson, Akwa Ibom South. I second the motion that this report be so adopted. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those who are in support of the motion that this Senate do receive the report on the budget of the 2023 budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. The motion will be moved and seconded. Those who are in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The chairman, Senator Maduri Ahmed, you may move forward now and lay your report. Distinguished Senator Maduri, please proceed to read your report.
Report of the Senate and House of Representative Committees on Police Affairs on the year 2023 budget proposal of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund held on Wednesday, 22nd November 2023 in room 224, Senate Wing, National Assembly Complex. Introduction. In considering the mandate of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund, which include procuring vehicles, equipment vis-a-vis rehabilitation of police barracks, police stations, training and retraining of police officers and men, among others, for the protection of lives and properties of the citizenry, as well as improvement of security sector. It is in this vein that the joint committees of the Senate and House of Representatives on Police Affairs met with top management of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund to consider the year 2023 budget of 57 billion 14 million 287,532 naira, 0 kobo, only for the fiscal year 2023. The breakdown is as follows. Personnel expenditure, 937 million.
Distinguished Senator, we have everything.
Oh, okay, sir.
So just, it looks like a joint committee, right?
Yeah, it's a joint committee.
Okay, so go to your constitution, observations and recommendations.
What the observation, while considering the budget of the NPTF, the joint committee observed as follows, that this is the fourth budget of the NPTF since its inception in 2019. That the NPTF is currently carrying on with the implementation of its 2022 approved budget, that the 2023 accrued revenue is as follows. 0.5% of total revenue accrued to the Federation account amounting to 56,205,355,774,000. 0.5% of the net profit of companies in Nigeria is 308,931,758 0 kobo. AIDS grant and donation generated the sum of 500 million naira. For that, government subvention for personal overhead and capital was nil. Recommendation. At the end of its deliberation, the Joint Committee considered the observation and recommended as follows. Personal cost, 937,993,627.68 kobo. Overhead expenditure, 9,051,490,363.14 kobo. Capital expenditure, 47,024,803,541.18 kobo. Total budget recommended by the committee is 57,014,287,531 naira .92 kobo. The NPTF should expedite action on the implementation of the 2023 budget for the enhancement of policing and tackling the security challenges for the benefit of the nation and its citizenry. Conclusion. The Joint Committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the leadership of the Senate and House of Representatives for the trust reposed on it to consider the NPTF budget. It is the expectation of the Joint Committee that this recommendation will help in reaching an acceptable decision on the matter, which will significantly improve funding for the Nigerian police force. Signed, Ahmed Abdulhamid Maramadori, Senate Committee Chairman on Police, Honorable Maki Al-Leman, House Committee Chairman on Police Affairs, our clerks, and about 20 people have signed out of 23. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any comments? In the absence of any okay, Deputy Senate President.
Mr. President, I just want to commend the committee for a job well done. The report is well packaged and put together, and I feel without much ado, we should go to the next stage of the processing of the bill. I so submit.
Distinguished colleagues, if you look at 5, you will see the recommendations. The Joint Committee considered the observations and then recommended as read. Personnel costs, overhead expenditure, total recurrent capital expenditure, total recommended by the committee. The total recommended by the committee is 57,14,287,531 naira 92 kobo. Well, those in support of the recommendations say aye. Those against the recommendations say nay. The ayes have it. So let me thank the Committee on Police Affairs for a wonderful job, and the Senate has already accepted your recommendations, and therefore I'll just put the last question. Those in support of the 2023 appropriation in the sum of 57,014,287 naira 531 287,531 naira 92 kobo as budget estimate for the 2023 budget of the Police Trust Fund as recommended. Say aye. Those against say nay. The budget is hereby passed. Now, Senate Leader, please can you look at the mood of the Senate?
Well, Mr. Well, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I can see the mood of the Senate. I'm also guided, and I'm sure the Senate will be guided by the fact that distinguished Senator Calvin Chukwu had looked forward to his motion today being the very first motion from this distinguished colleague, and this motion having been placed on our order paper and stood down a few times. I know, consistent with the mood of distinguished senators, to ensure that every senator is given an opportunity to be actively involved in our legislative activities. May I then most respectfully and in recognition of the mood of the Senate, as well as the desire of distinguished senators to ensure that every distinguished senator enjoys the privilege of being celebrated announce that the sixth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Calvin Chukwu on the need to address the travails of prisoners, the travails of pensioners, their next of kin, and deceased relatives over unpaid pensions, gratuities, and other entitlements. Very straightforward motion. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Calvin Chukwu to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Calvin Chukwu.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Permit me to move the motion on the need to address the travail of pensioners, the next of kin, and deceased relatives over unpaid pension, gratuities, and other entitlements. Whereas the nation has been witnessing series of inhuman treatments meted out to senior citizens of the country, the Senate are invited to note, very sadly, the many cases of undue delay, suffering, and trauma our senior citizens and family members are subjected to over unpaid pension, gratuity, and entitlement of the loved ones who have spent a chunk of their productive years toiling and serving the nation meritoriously. Note very sadly again that due to bureaucratic bottleneck and endemic corruption in the payment process, the situation has subjected many pensioners to abject penury, with some even dying in queues of protracted and never-ending verification exercise that yield little or no result whatsoever. Worried that at a time when pensioners are supposed to be enjoying their lives after spending their youthful years serving the country, the reverse is the case in this country, as the monthly dues of many of them are delayed for months or even sometimes years. Aware that the prevailing issue include the non-payment of outstanding arrears to scores of pensioners, non-enrollment of thousands of pensioners on the pension payroll, non-payment of death benefit to deserving next of kin, non-implementation of payments to pensioners to reflect the salary review and payment pension in line with relevant increases in minimum wage and the snail pace at which pension payment is being processed. Also aware that this is made worse by improper keeping of records, unscrupulous officials who demand different documents and call for similar verification exercise and time and time again, and some who engage in underhand dealings to process payment, coupled with brazen failure to sanction defaulters. Further aware that the administration of pension fund has been immersed in unprecedented corruption over the years, with some public officers, institutions of government, and even banks all complicit, generously helping themselves to filth lucre while denying pensioners their due in the process. The government's undignified silence and inaction most times on this very grave matter in spite of sustained criticism and complaint by concerned citizens has been shocking. Worried that except pensioners receive fair and prompt payment and prompt treatment, the country is unwittingly encouraging propensity of civil servants to be corrupt, as a career in civil service is no longer attractive, especially as senior citizens are treated shabbily. It goes further to speak of our value system, as any society that cannot treat its elderly citizens with care, respect, dignity, advertises its regard for value. Therefore, note that the consideration of the fact that our senior citizens are no longer very relevant in the labor market, the government must do something drastically to ameliorate the trauma and suffering of pensioners. After many years of hard labor, a worker is indeed entitled to some peace and security at old age. Prayers. The Senate, therefore, resolved to roundly condemn in the strongest terms the dastardly act committed against our senior citizens, as this is the height of man's inhumanity to his fellow man. Call on the federal government through its agencies, the National Pension Commission and the Pension Transition Administration Directorate, to consider very seriously and urgently inequities of the pension fund administration in the country. A mechanism where pensioners and their beneficiaries are credited directly without so many hassles or having to grease some palms to help fast-track the process should be considered as a matter of grave urgency. Mandate the Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crime to investigate the activities of pension fund and administration in the country with respect to payment of benefits to pensioners, as the PFAs were set up to eliminate inefficiency and corruption in the system, which has now proved counterproductive in a lot of cases. All the National Pension Commission and the Pension Transitional Directorate of Administration to live up to their mandate of regulating, supervising, and ensuring the effective administration of pension matters in tandem with the provision of the Pension Reform Act 2014 or relative committees. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Nengi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, I was about going out, having actually waited all this long to speak on this very important motion. And then, kindly, the leader of the Senate said this motion should be taken. And this is a motion that should concern everybody, especially the representative of the people.
You mean the Senate resolved that the motion be taken?
The Senate resolved through the motion of the Senate leader and by the leave of the Senate President that the motion should be taken. Now I'm talking. This is a motion of this nature should not escape Parliament and parliamentarians. You recall a long time ago, at the end of the 18th century, the famous socialist Hegel, Karl Marx, and Lenin were predicting the fall of the necessary fall of capitalism. Little did they know, developing countries took notice of the huge contradiction in the capitalist system. And what the developing countries did is to be able to look at the gaps between the haves and the have-nots and bring about issues of welfare, human kindness. And they forgot about the entire profit that is actually associated with capitalism. Pension for workers, good life for workers, the ability for Nigeria, for humanity to survive as they are. These are things that Marxists did not predict, did not foresee. And therefore, if you look at the developing countries, beginning from the United States, to UK, to Belgium, to Singapore, to South Korea, to Japan, what actually sustains their system is taking care of the elderly, is making sure that once a child is born, he doesn't need to steal, he doesn't need to be corrupted, because at the end of his twilight of his life, there'll be something for him until he dies. This has not been actually taken care of by most African countries, and especially Nigeria. And it is important, Mr. President, that for us to reduce corruption and the evils that partake in our society, one of the things we must be able to make sure that we do is to put in place pensions and the ability of livelihood that me and you, when we get that age, and we're very near that age, that will be comfortable, that we're not going to die in penury, that the society appreciates us, that the community appreciates us. Today, sir, there is no state in the whole federation that are not owing pension to pensioners. And of course, in the national budget, you see a huge amount of money, year in, year out, being chunked out to take care of the aged, our senior citizens, who made Nigeria possible for us to be where we are. And in spite of that, a lot of us have forgotten about it. And it is a very necessary road. Everybody will be there. I'm very happy that Kelvin has brought this to attention. And I'm sure, because of time constraint, this is a motion deserving of every legislature to say one thing or another about it, because it concerns all of us. It concerns the aged, it concerns the middle age, like the Senate President, it concerns the younger people, the journalists, and everybody. So I think it is important to first commend Calvin for bringing, reawakening our consciousness, our duty to our country. This is a very important motion, and I hope my committee, the Committee of Legislative Compliance, will go ahead and making sure that by the time we pass this motion, we should follow it up within the national framework, and urge the states to also to look back and reflect the importance of this motion. I so second, Mr. President.
Well, the motion has been moved and seconded. Just one observation on my part, if you allow me. The Senate President is not in his middle age. If I'm in my middle age, it means you're expecting me to live to 120 or 130 years. And if I do so, I won't recognize food. I don't want, yeah. Well, it's important you call me an elder statesman. Because if you say middle age, it means you're expecting me to stay to a point when I see food, I start crying. I don't want that. That means I don't recognize it as food. Well, having heard your contribution, I must also join you to thank distinguished Senator Chukwu Kerofin. But just one observation. If you look at the paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, further aware that the administration of pension fund has been enmeshed in unprecedented corruption. We haven't investigated to conclude that. So I would think that we should just make a slight correction there for the record, that it should be further aware that the administration of pension fund or funds has been allegedly enmeshed in unprecedented corruption. Is it the view of the Senate that the word allegedly be added so that it will not be too conclusive? Those in support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Now, there is Senator Binus. I would have loved Senator Hosanna to say something.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Amos Johanna, Adamawa North. Mr. President, I am a retiree and a pensioner. And I understand the importance of pension payment on time. And so I rise to support this motion as amended. And I want to call on all of us not to waste time in debating it, because it is something that is straightforward, it is something that is moral, it is something that is timely, it is something that is acceptable, and that is something that we should all support. That the relevant committees of the Senate should take this upon themselves and work with the relevant authorities to ensure that pensions are paid as when due. This is something that the nation and the elder statesmen will thank this Senate for, that at a point in time we paused and looked at their plight and we came in to give them the support. Our support system in this country, Mr. President, is very weak. And so if somebody has spent 35 years in serving this great country or has reached the age of 60, it is only moral and right that this country pays him back what he has contributed to the life of this nation. And so to withhold it a day longer is not acceptable. And so I second this in total. And I also want to urge this distinguished Senate not to waste time on this, because it is something that is very straightforward and morally right for us to do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Johanna, you are right. When we reach the age of 60, like this, the country should try to pay us back for all the services that we have rendered to this country. Senator Ningi, your turn will come one day. Yeah, what? Well, it's not official. I can announce my own officially that I'll be celebrated above 60 on the 9th day of December, which all of you are hereby invited. But having said that, I must say that the Senator Binus, I know what you wanted to say is what Senator Johanna has said, but you can cap it up so that we go into the prayers, because this is very important.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Binus Yaro, Adamawa South. I rise to also lend my voice in support of this motion and commend my distinguished colleague, Kelvin Chukwu, for bringing it up. Indeed, the matter of pension is very, very important, and anything that will bring problem or will cause people who have retired and are eligible for pension not to receive their pension on time should be, we should speak out against it. But in doing so, Mr. President, I want to say that I'm a member of the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service. And I would like to read from our order book the functions of this committee on page 99 of our Standing Orders 2023 as amended. There shall be a committee to be known as Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters, appointed at the commencement of the life of the Senate. The jurisdiction of the committee shall include C, pension and gratuities. F, Pension Commission, PENCOM. G, Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD. I mention this because of the prayers. It will appear as if by the prayers we will be confusing or we will be duplicating the activities of our committees. This committee, Committee on Establishment and Service Matters, has actually started work on the pension fund administrators and PENCOM, and even on pensions. So I would recommend that we formulate one prayer. Yes, one prayer, one omnibus prayer that will mandate the committee on establishment and pension, on Committee on Establishment and Public Service to investigate this matter or to expedite the work it is doing and report back to the Senate. So that is what I'm recommending. Thank you.
When we go into the prayer, this is Dan Kwambo.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I do not intend to take much of your time. I remain Amin Waziri Tambuwal, representing Sokoto South. Mr. President, I support this motion wholeheartedly. I only wanted to correct an impression created by Senator Abdul Nengi when he said that states were all owing pensioners. As at the time I left as governor of Sokoto State, I defrayed outstanding bills of pension I inherited from my predecessors and paid till the last month that I left as governor of Sokoto. Sokoto State, as at that time, was not owing a kobo to any pensioner, and Sokoto was not owing any civil servant any salary. Thank you, sir.
Now, the distinguished Senator Tambuwal can now talk.
Nene Tambuwal. Your Excellency, Mr. President, my colleagues, this is a very useful, very nice motion. Like we had one earlier during the last few months. This is also going to be a good one to add to what we are doing. But, Mr. President, I want to advise that if we are looking for a solution, we should make a solution that is going to be implementable. The solution from the problem. What are the problems? Problems number one. We are running two kinds of pensions now. The pay-as-you-go and the contributory pension. For over time, we have been doing pay-as-you-go. The civil service or the public service was too lean. So we were able to budget for salary and to budget to pay for pension. As the number of people continue to accumulate, you find out that you have more number of people retiring than those people that were coming into the service. So ultimately, we were not able to plan for those who are retiring. So to the extent that we do not plan for those who are retiring forever and ever and ever, we will have to have this problem. What are the ways out of this problem? Now that we have migrated from 2004 to contributory pension, because we realize now that the moment we employ you, we have to plan for your retirement. And that is why you contribute and the government contribute for you. So that ultimately when you retire, you take your money and go away. Unlike where somebody from Gombe will retire today, somebody, another one from Kebbi or Akwa Ibom or somewhere, and then there will just be a bill for you to pay at the end of the month, which you did not plan. So, to the extent that the contributory pension now has some money, we need to do some very critical work in the pension transition arrangement department, where we should be able to determine the quantum of all the outstanding pensions that will be due next year, next 1 year, next this year, up to the last person that will retire that has not joined the contributory pension. We have done it for independence. We had a pensioner that we were paying when Nigeria got independence that retired in 1959. We continued to carry the pension and we were paying him until when we move it, when foreign exchange was becoming a difficult thing to crown agent. So this one too, we have to warehouse fund for this category of people, because this category of people, this chamber or this National Assembly would not be able to budget for them. And so problem will come. And like any other person, when you come to me and there is nothing I can do to you, you say pay me my money and I don't pay you, say he wants to get something. So alleged corruption will come in, and if there is also corruption, the person will be tempted, because the person that wants to collect his money is always anxious to see what he can do to get his money. So properly, we have to do work with the pension transition arrangement department to know exactly what is the outstanding pensions that are under pay as you go, as at a particular point in time. 2, determine the kind of enrollments and the way of discharging people in the contributory pension that we are doing through PENCOM today. We have huge amount of money today. Last week we learned that they were going to be given for infrastructure. If some of that money can be given to the pension transition arrangement to resolve some of those problems, that will be a very good way out for all these issues that were rising, Mr. President. I so submit, sir.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Dankwambo, and thank you for the report by distinguished Senator Tambua that as a governor he was up to date in his payment of pensioners. I must say that this is a very good motion. And the only reason why pensioners are suffering in the country is lack of love and compassion. And also improper data, as pointed out by distinguished Senator Dankwambo. So if PTAT can avail us of such a report, capturing the data of those who are retiring next year and those who are retiring in the next 5 years, it means that both the states and federal governments can plan for their pensions. But unfortunately, some people who are working now do not know that they are going to become pensioners tomorrow. So they allow them to line up, and some die on the line. In the course of it, they even require some stipends before they carry their files from one point to the other. And sometimes they will tell them that their files are missing because they stayed for too long. It's unfortunate that sometimes in some states the wage bill never changes, as if nobody has died. So it's something that must be holistically looked into. So this is a very important motion. Our committee on establishment and public service matters must look into it, and then the committee on legislative compliance must follow up to ensure that whatever decisions we make here are actually complied with. So, dismissed Senator Chukwu, Kelvin, thank you for your motion. I thank my colleagues for their contributions. Let's look at the prayers. Prayer 1. Condemn in the strongest terms the dastardly acts committed against our senior citizens, as this is the height of man's inhumanity to his fellow man. Those in support of the prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Urge the federal government through its agencies, the National Pension Commission and the Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate, PTAT, to consider very seriously and urgently the iniquities in the pension fund administration in the country, a mechanism where pensioners on their beneficiaries or their beneficiaries are credited directly without so many hassles or having to grease some palms to help fast-track the process, should be considered as a matter of great urgency. I think we need to rephrase. Yes, Senator Binus. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Binus Yaro, Adama South. I would like to amend prayer 2, in fact, combine prayer 2 and prayer 3, and yes, prayers 2, 3, and 4, and move for one prayer to read as follows. Urge the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to expedite its oversight actions on PENCOM and PTAD and conduct a holistic investigation over the matter and report back to Senate within 1 month. I so move.
This is Senator Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Karimi Sunday. I represent Kogi West. A motion for amendment as moved by my colleague, Honorable Binus. Senator Binus.
The same Senator Binus, when can they bring back the recommendations to the Senate for necessary and further actions?
Mr. President, because of the budget that is coming, I am suggesting 4 weeks so that the committee can do a very good job.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been amended. Prayer 2, 3, and 4. The prayers have been amended and seconded. Those in support of the amended prayers say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And therefore, the committee is given 4 weeks to report back to the Senate. Now, the final prayer is mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance, Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes to ensure compliance. I think it should. I think it should be. I think it should actually be just Committee on Legislative Compliance. But this will only be after the reports have been sent to us, and we have deliberated on the report and recommendations. That's when they will now swing into action. Therefore, those who are in support that this be stepped down say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So once again, I thank our distinguished brother for bringing the plight of the pensioners to the fore, and then discussing this issue in the Hallowed Chambers. Each and every one of us looks forward to being a pensioner one day, and therefore the applied consensus. And so I urge the civil servants who are already serving now, and all the public servants, to remember that their day will come when their knees will also be weak after serving the country for 35 to 40 or 50 years. And therefore they should have love in their hearts and have compassion for their fellow citizens. That's all I will say, because this issue is very embarrassing to the nation. The Senate condemns it in its entirety and wish for a speedy solution to it. Thank you. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate, let me just be certain that we have we are in tune with the various amended. Those in support of the prayers as amended from prayer 2 up to prayer 5, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I think that is just for clarity. So, distinguished Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we have on our supplementary order paper the last order of the day, which is a motion standing in my name that the Senate and the House of Representatives do sit in a joint session to receive an address by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFR, on Wednesday, 29th November 2023 at 2 p.m., 11 a.m., at 11 a.m., I apologize for the typo, on the 2024 appropriation bill. Mr. President, with your permission, I hereby move that the Senate and the House of Representatives do sit in a joint session to receive an address by Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFR, on Wednesday, 29 November 2023 at 11 a.m. on the 2024 appropriation bill. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate and the House of Representatives do sit in a joint session and to be addressed by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, on Wednesday, 29th of November by 11 a.m. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate Leader has moved a motion and seconded by the Minority Leader that the request of the President and Commander-in-Chief that he be given a slot for a joint sitting of the Senate and House of Representatives by 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 29th day of November 2023 be granted. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. And the ayes have it. Therefore, we shall have a joint session for Mr. President to address us on the budget of 2024 tomorrow at 11 a.m. Yes, the issue of closed session.
Yes, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, now recognizing the mood of the Senate and knowing that we have several other legislative activities slated for this afternoon, may I move that we stand down the closed session for the next legislative day. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion that we, the Senate, do stand down further items on the legislative agenda, especially the closed session, to the next legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate has exhausted all the items on the order paper for the day, and this the only one is the earlier resolution that we do have a closed session before departure. But the motion has now been moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader that the closed session be adjourned to another legislative date. Those who are in support of the motion that we move the closed session to the next legislative date say aye. And those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Therefore, the closed session will come on the next legislative date. Accordingly, this Senate is hereby adjourned to Wednesday, the 29th day of November at 10 a.m. prompt. And thereafter, the Senate will move and proceed to a joint session by 11 a.m. with Mr. President. So we hereby adjourn to 10 a.m. prompt for the 29th day of November 2023.